We finally got part 6 confirmed in the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime, and yes, I'm hyped. With JoJo being my favorite anime series, it really made me flip out when this had gotten confirmed. It's been a really long time since we got an official new JoJo anime part, and I'm really happy to see Jolene Kujo finally getting her part animated. I loved reading part 6, and I'm sure I'm going to love it even more watching it, with the studio adding all that nice animation and music to complete the part as a whole. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about all sorts of things on what's in store for the Stone Ocean anime, and also discussing the future beyond part 6. So right before we get into talking about what you can expect from Stone Ocean, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button, turn on bell notifications, and go ahead and follow my Twitter down below. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So some of the first things I'm going to be talking about are my thoughts on the confirmation of Stone Ocean and why this part gets the hype it deserves. Alright, so some time ago the JoJo event Inherited Soul was streaming, and sadly I wasn't able to get a ticket for it as it pretty much wasn't available where I live. Luckily I was following some people on Twitter that were live tweeting the key moments that the event was showing, like talking with the JoJo voice actors and them explaining some of the best moments their characters had gotten. It went on for like 3 hours with everyone watching losing hope in their sanity on whether Stone Ocean would actually be confirmed, as it wasn't guaranteed in the event. But as the event was approaching its final sequence and showed all of the past protagonists, Jolene Kujo, our 6th JoJo, finally arrives on screen, with the event confirming that Stone Ocean will of course be animated in the future and showing us the new Jolene Kujo voice actor. We currently don't know when part 6 is going to be animated, but us JoJo fans are guaranteed to see it, and that's all we wanted to hear. But I'm sure this part could be shown to us late this year in October, as that was the month Golden Wind aired, as Golden Wind was confirmed earlier in that same year. So I have hope that we'll be able to see Stone Ocean animated late this year, and if it isn't shown to us in October, I'm certain that we'll see it in early 2022. Now the story you're expecting for this main part is a really thrilling one that showcases many different and interesting fights and characters, whilst more creative stands appearing, giving us a sense of shockness and confusion on their abilities as well, much like the last part. If you haven't read the manga for it yet, I can give you a small description on what you'll be seeing in the upcoming future that has every manga reader hyped for seeing it animated. I won't say spoilers though, as I'm sure non-manga readers wouldn't want all that sudden shockness that they'll get watching it blind to go all down the drain. So basically the part is about Jolene Kujo, the daughter of part 3 protagonist Jotaro Kujo. She ends up in a bit of a dilemma, causing her arrest and sent to Green Dolphin Street prison, where she stays for the majority of the part. Of course there'll be more problems that she'll be facing there, but of course I won't go into that. The stand fights are amazing though, that I can say, and they bring even more bizarre and gory moments that send chills down your spine, but also entertains you more into watching it. I've read Stone Ocean twice, and I'm going to go for my 3rd reread, and I can say that it is one of my favourite parts Araki has brought out, with it being in my top 5 parts in JoJo's. So the antagonist of Stone Ocean basically carries the past ideologies of Dio and polishes it into his own, trying to carry out certain acts that could make him achieve heaven, as Dio had once said to him. Oh, and yeah, Dio will also be appearing once again in this part, but flashback only, so I don't think that's much of a spoiler if he just shows up in a flashback. The villain of the part, Enrico Pucci, is a pretty compelling antagonist that is able to constantly move the plot of Stone Ocean to its utmost limits. He's one of my favorites as well, and I'm sure you guys will be intrigued by his goals. Now the art style of this new part in the anime seems to have slightly changed from Golden Wind's art style, but to me, from just seeing this image of Jolene, I can say that it kind of looks like the combination of both part 4 and 5's art style slapped together. It just feels like that to me for some reason, but we are yet to see the rest of the key visuals for the new part, and yet to see the other characters in Stone Ocean in this anime art style. I really can't wait to see Weather Report, Pucci, and Foo Fighters in this art style, and also in the anime as a whole as well. Also, I can't wait to hear their voices for their characters in the future, and I hope each character has a fitting voice for them. I know that Jolene's voice fits well, so I hope the casting continues to fit well for the rest of the characters. So for the openings, ending, and background music of the part, I'm sure that David Productions will continue to produce top tier work for them as always. They could maybe change Jojo's theme a bit to fit for Jolene, or they could just make a whole new OST for her. Either way, I'm sure it will be good. For the openings, I can't wait to see something similar we saw in the past Jojo openings. I'm going to say a few spoilers now while talking about what might appear in the opening, so I'll put a timestamp on the screen to where you can skip to if you haven't read the manga yet. Now, I'm hoping that in the last Stone Ocean opening, we get to see Made in Heaven interrupt the whole sequence of it, and maybe see Moon before that as well. But I'm also certain that Made in Heaven will interrupt it, as it's been the main thing for JoJo villains to interrupt the opening ever since part 3. Made in Heaven could speed up the opening to its utmost limits, and then there could be nothing else left on the screen until light shines and the universe gets reset just like in the manga. It would be really cool to see that while Pucci's dialogue plays out through the opening, and I'm confident that the studio will think of something like that for Stone Ocean's last opening. And if they can, it would be nice if they could play What a Wonderful World in the last episode of the part, as the last chapter is named that, and it would be fitting to say the least. Emporio's dialogue in that last episode with What a Wonderful World playing in the background would be so good and sad, and I'm really hoping that it will happen. After this part finishes, I'm sure that people will be even more hyped up for the next 2 parts that are yet to be animated after Stone Ocean, Steel Ball Run and JoJolion. Me and many others are really hyped for Stone Ocean now, but the amount of hype that could come from these next 2 parts if they're animated would be amazing. But I'm sure we wouldn't get to see part 7 until about 4 years from now because of how hard it would be to keep drawing moving horses. And I understand that, and we probably won't be able to see JoJolion until 6 or 7 years from now. I'm alright to wait because it would be better for part 7 and 8 to be completely polished and not rushed to be a disaster. So I think that's where I'll be leaving it off for the video. Hopefully you did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to comment down below your thoughts on the newly confirmed part 6 anime, and also comment what else you think about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure's future. Now, like always, subscribe if you're new, hit the like button, turn on bell notifications, and follow my Twitter down below. It's been Endless Requiem, peace.